Galveston is really cool. Just for the, like, I don't know, like I feel like it's its own little safe haven of, it's not, I wouldn't say safe, but like safe haven of artists, that are just there and they've just grown here organically. It like just untapped, undisturbed. I don't know. I'm starting to see it as kind of like this. I don't even know how.
I mean, it's exactly that, man. You have people like myself, being from here, and even before I jumped into any aspect of the arts, because I had no desire to do what I'm doing now. When I first got introduced to it, I was going to school. Actually, speaking about Hitler, as we were in the beginning, I was going to school to teach history. And so, as far as an admirer of the arts, because my uncles, they used to sing all the time. Whenever they would get together, they'd sing their ass off, you know what I mean? And I admire that part. And if I was going to do anything, I feel like it would sing. I would be a singer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But looking back on it in hindsight, and then growing up through the process and seeing certain things happen in the mid-'90s, it was like, man, this is a gold mine. And it was a guy that I met working at St. Louis as a valet and a bellman. And I forgot where he was from. And he was like, man, people here really don't take advantage of what you guys have. You guys have so much to offer. He said, it's an island, man. It's an island. He said, it might not be the best looking beach, but it's an island. You know what I mean? And no one here is really taking full advantage of it. You know what I mean? He's
so much here.
So many ideas.
Yeah.
And he was like, he said, man, I'm going to give you this. You run with it. He's like, because he said, it doesn't matter who does it, really. He said, run with it. He said, I get it in a position to have the capital to do it myself, I'm going to do it. He said, but if you ever come across the investor or you eventually have the capital to do this yourself, you do it. Man, this guy's ideas were amazing. It was right along the lines of what I was considering anyway, as someone who just saw his hometown, grew up in it, and was like, man, it's not much to do for people my age at that time. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not much to do. There's not much to do for families here, and then really getting introduced to the arts through my guy, Matt Stanford. He started writing plays and stuff like that after he started acting himself. And he was like, B, it's all kinds of shit out here, dude, that we could be doing. It's this acting. He said, man, I never thought that I'd be doing this. He was in his 40s at the time. He said, I never thought I'd be doing this. It's fun. I feel alive, man. And now he said, I can't stop writing. He was writing just vignettes at the time. And he was like, I just can't stop writing, man. It's just so many stories. He said, it's like the ancestors talking through me, man. And I'm coming up with so much stuff, man. He said, I want to tell you, but I really can't, because it's the way the stories are coming, man. I've been writing multiple stories simultaneously along with these vignettes. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool, And he was like, man, we're untapped, dude. He said, man, and he was one of the ones who really got me to being more interested in the history of Galveston. Looking back at the history, looking back at the Macios and the Fertitas, and looking at the talent that they brought into Galveston. We had dignitaries here. And then going back even further than that with our inauguration of Galveston as a city and a staple in Texas, and then the nation at that time. So it was like, man, we have so much to offer. We have so many historical firsts, not only in Texas, but the nation. Why hasn't anyone really tapped into that other than that family? But when they did tap into it, they tapped into a way where it was more underground. Yeah. And they equated gambling and racketeering and
speakeasies
and
hidden all over the island, actually.
All that, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of places, speaking with some of the elders that are in their 60s and 70s now, and they were, informing me of so many different places that was going on at that time, the brothels and shit like that. So, I don't know. It's just, it's untapped. It's like you say, it's organic, man. It's so many talented people I grew up with. Like I said, before I even got involved with this, you know, and it's like, you know, it has its own it has its own feel. It has its own uniqueness to where if you really tap into it,
Mm-hmm.
you can create so much here that other places will actually look to here,
And be drawn and
be drawn, and actually want to follow the model that the people here could potentially create.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's the history of Galveston. That in and of itself is like the model here with so many different accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people in other cities and other states and even other nations have modeled behind Galveston's first or Galveston's accomplishments, man.
Absolutely. Well,
You know?
just Galveston's ability to bounce back from things.
Absolutely.
It's if you know, because just from going to the Bryan Museum and other historical places that talk about Galveston and its history with Texas and how important it really is. Because honestly, if it wasn't for those two really bad back-to-back storms in early 1900s, this place would have been more like Houston almost. Its place would have been super huge.
Super huge. And here's the thing. And I was reminding someone else of this maybe a couple of days ago. It wasn't the Houston Galveston area. It was the Galveston Houston area
Mm-hmm.
for a long time. I think right before the selling of the ship channel, because Houston ship channel used to be Galveston's, and it was huge, and it would definitely be Dickinson, Lamarck, Texas City, Hitchcock, and all those places actually would be suburbs of Galveston.
Yeah,
literally,
so they would have been huge.
They still are, really.
Yeah,
because you look at those areas and they're underdeveloped.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And there's up until maybe the mid to early 2000s, some of those places it was still rural.
Mm-hmm.
And Galveston was the only city between here and Houston.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about it, League City started growing pretty much, but it wasn't as big as it is now. And you see along 45, the 646 exit going into West Santa Fe, none of that stuff was there at that time, and it was Galveston, Clear Lake, Webster, but South Houston.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also an old, this way back, that's how a lot of people, especially coming from that were inside this, the circle of the Gulf, how a lot of them would get to Houston. You take a boat to Galveston and then go up, or you can go over there in the, like Bay Area over there and go in, but you had to come through this area if you were coming in. Like if you're coming over from Florida, take the boat. Why would you take the road? It's dangerous.
Exactly.
You take the boat.
Exactly.
And you come into Galveston, that's how you get up to Houston.
And you had the port here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? For commerce, you had the port here. Because once again, in order to get to Houston Ship Channel, you had to pass through the harbor, the Bay of Galveston.
Mm.
You still do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's those unique things that motivated me to really start considering business. I had always talked about things, but it wasn't something that I felt like it was up to me to do.
Yeah.
Even as going to school to teach, I had always been taught to, this is your goal, this is your path, stay the course.
Mm-hmm.
Don't deviate. Not until you're in a position to where you can. You know what I'm saying? And even when I first began acting, it was the same thing. It was stay the course. You're an actor, stay an actor. That's it.
Yeah.
And I started writing prior to that. So it was those things that, it wasn't until later on that I started even considering owning my own businesses or, producing my own events or co-producing and stuff like that, So it's just those things, man, you start to see and looking at people. Like I said, I grew up with so many people that were MCs, singers,
mm-hmm.
Musicians, and no one knew how to be successful here other than what was directly in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't, and being taught.
Plain sight's the best hiding place sometimes.
Exactly, all the time, really.
Mm-hmm.
And not seeing that you can do it here. We have the uniqueness of our history, the uniqueness of the individuals here. I've been several different places, man, and not only does Texas get recognized, but when people who have been to Galveston find out you're from Galveston, it's a whole different feel.